started skiing at the age of 5 and was on the English team when I was 15, and then continued in the able-bodied route really. And then in 2009, I got injured and was asked if whilst I was in my recovery stage, did I want to work with the Paralympic team? Originally, I was kind of thinking, absolutely not. I'm 18. It's a massive step. I don't know anything about disability and in sport and how that works. And then I just finally decided actually it was probably a really good opportunity. I couldn't ski at the time anyway, so I might as well try and work in a different environment. And yeah, that's kind of how I got into it and stayed with them for 6 years in the end. It was massive. I think I'd never worked in skiing as a team. It was an individual sport that we were now going to be working together as a team. And I think when you first start in Paralympic sport, you're not given the individuals that you probably would work with, or they don't work together and go, these personalities match. You're just put together. So originally when Kelly and I had started, we didn't get on. I was very young. I was 18. She was a lot older. She had kind of experienced life. And I think it was a massive culture change for me and a learning curve for me to now all of a sudden go from almost being a child to then being in full control of someone's safety and their ability to go as fast as they can, but as safe as they can. And them two things don't usually kind of go in hand. So teamwork and working together with communication and resilience and having no funding and things that just totally either bring you together or spread you apart. We were really fortunate that our communication was our best asset, and we were able to work through any of the challenges. But if you're not working as a team, then there's no way you're going to be successful working as a guide and blind athlete. Yes, I think patience and communication. I think you can't be a guide without communication. You have to speak from the minute you start to the minute you end. But also patience. You've got to remember that the individual may not be at the speed that you want them to be at. When I began with Kelly, she was snow ploughing. She was at the very beginning stages of learning skiing. And I needed to be patient. I needed to understand that how I was going to get the best out of Kelly, how I was going to be able to make her faster and be able to get up to speeds of 70, 75 miles per hour. And I think patience played a massive part in that. And it probably only started to click in the last couple of years of our career. So I think patience was really important, but again, communication and making sure that we spoke about the goods and the bad. It's not all highs, it's not all lows, but you definitely have to discuss it, talk through it and fix them issues. I think mental resilience is really tough. I think if you're fair on yourself, and I think if you give yourself a chance, I think you've definitely got more of a better understanding of how to be good at mental resilience. I think there's never going to be a perfect day every day. And I think being able to go through them lows actually makes you stronger. Well, it did for me. I think them lows, and we've had some really tough times with skiing, whether that's with funding, whether that was losing at the first race at the Games. That resilience and that power to control that and be able to still fight to kind of achieve is kind of what sets you apart, I think. I think if you see mental resilience as a negative, then it's going to be a tough ride. Whereas if you see failure and things like that as lessons, I think it then gives you a better answer and a better way of moving forward and progressing better throughout. I think I didn't have a fear of speed. That was always a good thing. I actually get almost a kick and a buzz out of speed. I suppose the fear for me was I had someone else's life in my hands. I had somebody's ability to either win or lose in my hands, depending on what command I gave, depending on what line I took, depending on what information I gave to her, decided whether it was a win or a lose. So I think that fear of failure, a fear of not being able to be successful or being the cataract of it not going well, that for me was a bigger fear. I think the fear of actual downhill or going fast, I'd done that in my previous skiing as able-bodied, so that bit was okay. I think the fear of failure and the fear of letting people down was probably a more tougher thing to kind of overcome. Made sure I got it right. No, I think I worked really hard at making sure that I did a lot of work off the hill. I did a lot of work of being able to memorize things. I did a lot of work with trying to make sure that what my information that I gave out was very concise. I think a lot of people, we've got such a small window to be able to get as much information out as possible that I had to make it concise. I had to work on making sure the commands were specific. And I think that probably helped. I think once I learned that part of it, I think then the rest all fell into place. But did I get it wrong? Yeah, many times. But I think it's what you learn from that and how you move forward from that is what makes you successful.